Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back for some EML action. This time, we're not around, the traditional Kota circuit at Texas. We're here for round 6 around Baku, Azerbaijan. A complete different ball game of a circuit from what was happening last week. And of course, we've had a little bit of a change-up. Alex Heron is unfortunately not here. He's out currently trying to find the Easter Bunny. So instead, I've got Omi alongside of me. Omi, how is it, mate? How have you been doing?
Hello, Josh. I've actually been doing very, very well. Doing better from a sickness I had earlier on in the week. Doing a bit better. Still having a little bit of a cough, but doing well.
Lovely. Glad to hear you're doing a little bit better. But we've got a lot to talk about. A lot happened last week, and we've got some drivers who are potentially looking very, very... I don't know, how do we say it? I think the term is in form. WR picking up a win with Yerne, and then we've got Tony Roche once again getting himself a podium for TF10, sitting in second place, and Riley in third. Brilliant result from all the drivers last week. Unfortunately, couldn't bring you the action due to some technical difficulties, but we're here tonight, and that's what matters. We move over to the standings page. We see TF10 leading the way with an almighty gap down to WOR, with NLR in third, Shizu in fourth, Precision Racing in fifth, Rising Lions in sixth, ABS in seventh, Custom GTs in eighth, CPI in ninth, and Artemis in 10th. But we've had a little bit of a change up, haven't we, Omi? With a couple of the teams here and there. It's looking a little bit interesting. So, CPI, one driver. Artemis, both did not start. And then, of course, for those of you who are observant in the Alpine car, we do have a replacement for Customs GP. I mean, it's looking pretty solid over the course of this, an entire lineup, let's say.
Yep, is in deed as well. So I think these drivers are going to be able to provide us with plenty of action today. So looking forward to it all.
Absolutely. And, with ET8 bowing out this week, TTM, they've got a real opportunity here. Luke Mills, Michael, it's looking like an opportunity for them. They've just got to make it count.
They do indeed. I've been sent a DM that there's no sound. So let's quickly investigate this. That would be the most horrid thing if they can't hear one of us or both of us.
Well,
But
they should be able to hear us. You would hope.
we would hope, yeah.
You would very much hope. Maybe there's a bit of an issue over on the YouTube front because there's audio for other people. I feel like Maze might need to advance a little bit. We do have a very early prediction there from Nordic Ninja saying Jabraka and Otso gone cook today. Please, anything but a copy of the DNF. Well, certainly an opportunity for them. And when it comes to a circuit like Baku, you need consistency.
You do indeed. If you aren't able to get some good laps together, especially of course in qualifying as well, then you could easily go into the barrier, then finding a rhythm around this circuit as well. Regrouping if you are making quite a few mistakes also counts in the race to make sure that you do not find the barrier. You of course have the very tight castle section for the drivers to navigate, which the drivers really do push the limits through there, and also could find the barriers due to how due to how tight that part of the section is and how close it is. So that will be interesting to see if the drivers are able to stay out of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's obstacles all over the place. We do have a very interesting camera angle there, showing us the corner. As Zach Miles was preparing for his lap, it decided to show us the corner a little bit more. But you see Zach Miles there with a little plume of smoke coming from his front brakes. Just trying to get a little bit more grip into those tyres, trying to heat them up just a little bit more. Bass was able to rejoin the session, so hopefully we'll be able to see him go out for his lap. But of course, 15 minutes around Baku. You think it's an awful lot of time, but it's not.
Definitely is not indeed. Zach Miles then begins a flying lap as he makes his way down towards the first turn on this circuit, pushing on as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on this lap. 15 minutes to go. The first runs are getting underway, and Zach Miles going close to the wall on the exit then as he now brings the car towards turn 3.
Yes, absolutely. He's pushing this car all the while. But you've got to consider, with each lap being done by each one of these drivers, that track condition is going to slowly just improve. It's going to keep getting rubbered in. more laps we do, the better the track's going to be, the more they can push it through the corners. But Zach Miles certainly looking to get himself up towards the timing sheet, and he's certainly looking very solid. He's kept it very nice and neat throughout this first sector, but now comes the challenging part. My least favourite part of this, of the entire circuit, I'll say, Obi. So this middle sector, it's so awkward, it feels clunky, it doesn't feel natural. You've got to trust the car, you've got to trust your setup, something I'm not all familiar with when I end up racing nowadays. But you see there, that little exit curb removed. Zach Miles can take as much of that exit as he wants before flinging it here through the double flat left-handers for picking up a very awkward braking point over the curb. Corner's a little bit wider than it used to be, and he runs it nice and tight out to wall. Ideally, he would have been looking for one of those cars to get a hurry on, so he would have been able to pull up a little bit of a toe, because we know how important it can be around this final couple of corners. And then, of course, this super long back straight. It cannot be exaggerated how important it is for drivers to be able to pick up a toe here.
Yeah, getting a toe is super crucial and can lead to time gain through the whole lap as well, especially with how close the margins are going to be. I think we'll see it. And Zach Miles coming over the line, 1 minute 39.216, decent lap time there by Zach Miles. We'll see how all of the others all of the other drivers get on, but this is definitely a sector that I would not be good at. If I did drive on the game, I'd be straight into the wall, probably at turn number 3.
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking with the slipstream, DRS, battery usage going down that main straight, you're looking at, what, 5-6 tenths of a second down that straight alone, let alone this awkward one you have out of turn 2 running down to turn 3. Still a little bit of time to be gained there. When it comes to dirty air around this circuit, there's not very many fast-flowing corners, apart from the final ones. You know, you can warrant it, you can make an argument to be able to potentially trade off a little bit of a dirty air to try and get yourself a little bit of an important slipstream, because of just how much time you'll gain overall throughout the course of a lap. As you see Thomas Bulger ramping it up there with the Red Bull for CPI, up into P7. 1:41.6, not ideally the lap time he's looking for, but things still to improve. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, not the end of the world indeed for him. Still time to go in this session as well. But yeah, some drivers might decide to, even if they need to sit in the dirty air for a bit, it could be valuable when you do get onto the main straight and getting the slipstream as well. A little bit of slipstream down towards turn number 3 as well. So there's definitely still overtaking opportunities in the race at those corners, of course, with the DRS. So we're going to see plenty of action. But in qualifying, it's all about getting that toe and getting that slipstream, even if it does mean that you have to sacrifice a bit through the corners with getting some of the dirty air that we do see, of course.
Yeah, unfortunately, these cars aren't always perfect. The drivers are aware of that, the engineers are aware of that. They'll be trying to set it up as best as possible for the race trim, not necessarily qualifying. Baku is a circuit you can make overtakes at. And, you know, to be quite honest with you, I'm going to be forever grateful, because we've seen some of the best battles break out around this circuit. I mean, who can forget Lance Stroll's first Formula 1 podium with that run to the line? My GOAT showing himself. He really can make it up there. Just give him time, guys. I promise you, Lance Stroll, future F1 World Champion. Omi, I feel like you're going to disagree with that one.
Yes, I probably am, and especially if anyone has heard me at all on when it comes to real life F1, F2, F3 stuff. I'm not the best when it comes to giving drivers time and saying positive stuff about them. So, you know, I think we can all guess that probably my comments on last time probably won't be near to what Josh said.
No, I mean, I feel like you got to give him credit where credit's due. When it comes to overtaking opportunities, there are certain drivers which just seem to be able to find their way to be able to make those moves work. They're bold, they're audacious, they try, they're daring. They're willing to give it that little bit more than other drivers would necessarily like to do. And also, Bass here, currently P15, had that rejoin, reconnect, looking to try and get this lap on the board, but had to abandon it. He thought that McLaren behind was going to be a quick car. Unfortunately, it wasn't. But Bass is one of those drivers. He's very young, very intelligent for his age when it comes to racing IQ. He's more than happy to put a car where it strategically might not be best for him, but he's able to make the move work. He's always able to get better traction out the corners as well when he does try and go for these bold moves, which is so critical around Baku.
Yeah, so critical indeed, especially if you are getting stuck in some of those DRS lanes. Getting moves done very quickly can be crucial as they try and make their way towards the top. And there we go. This is the system we were talking about. Car ahead, diving it into the pit lane, but still trying to get the every little bit can help. Let's see where this lap time is going to put him. Unfortunately, though, it's only going to be 13, and it seems like he was actually he's going to start a lap now, and that was a bit of a slow lap with a mistake there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something you can do around Baku, but you do raise a brilliant point with DRS trains. Almost completely slipped my mind, considering 90% of this game is a DRS train. I'm very surprised it did. But when it comes to DRS trains around Baku, where do you really want to try and make that overtake, Obi? Because for me, the only real overtaking opportunity would be down at turn 1. You can get the run, you can burn a bit of battery, you can get that move done, and you can look forward to trying to defend it into turn 2, put him off balance a little bit, and have a safe run down to turn 3. But where would you really want to try and, you know, cook up some magic, as we see Victor Wilder cooking up some magic down at turn 2?
Indeed. But yes, of course, turn number 1 definitely turn number 1 definitely can be one of those opportunities in a DRS train, one of the major opportunities, of course. But you need a good run, of course, out of the sweepers. Then when the drivers think they're close, they're going to try and use a bit of the ERS, deployment of the ERS, try get close, and then they can try and make the move. But sometimes you have to try make an Alonso move later on in the lap, try be late on the brakes, catch out your rival, but then also you have to kind of decide whether it's worth it at that point of the race to risk it there and try and make a late stand at parts of the circuit where we usually wouldn't see it, and isn't the best to do so where it's single file stuff as well. But sometimes you might need to catch out your rival if you are trying to make some overtakes, like at turn 4, 5, through some of the 90-degree corners as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's an ample opportunity to send it around here. It's just how the drivers are really going to try and, you know, navigate the situation. As we, Bass coming across the line there, up into P13. Not an ideal lap time he's exactly going to be too happy with, but it's a lap time on the board. That's better than the likes of Mizzy and Paolo Alfonso already. He's just got to keep his head, he's got to keep it steady, but Mizzy is going to be one to watch in this qualifying session. A very quick driver, potential to maybe get pole.
Yeah, so we'll see if he's going to be able to get near the top of the field. Can he go to the top of the field? That will be very, very exciting and interesting to see. Right now, you have Zach Miles at the front of the field with Tyus Korsman in second as well. So those two looking pretty good right now. So it will be interesting to see whether those two will be the front row when we get to the end of the session. But surely, with so many other drivers finding improvements, they will be at risk, and there will be drivers trying to take that away. As remember, the circuit improving all the time, so we're going to be seeing improvements all the way till to the end of the session in the when the checkered flag is going to be out as well. So it's always an exciting session to see how the drivers are finding the improvements all the way till the end.
Absolutely. The thing I always find very off-putting, you know, it's very much a double-edged sword whenever it comes to me trying to get a qualifying lap together. I always tend to overcompensate, you know, the track improvement. I try and send it in a little too deep into some corners, picking up a couple warnings. It's not what these drivers want, because you can do that. You can send it a little bit too eagerly into a couple of these corners, make a couple of mistakes here and there, and you end up invalidating your lap time, especially thinking towards that final complex of corners. There's such an easy chance to just be able to overstep your mark, understand that the track's improving, you carry a bit too much speed into there though, you end up picking up an invalidation. That's the last thing these drivers are going to want to do. As we see Justin getting very, very close to picking up an invalidation of himself, coming up through the castle section. But Justin, the driver I want to talk about, recently been competing in an Alpine Community Cup, which, you know, I won't lie, I've had a bit of dealing with, to say the very least, and he's been absolutely dominant over there. But it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to be able to translate that. Of course, Yerne, not necessarily a name too familiar with the Alpine Community Cup, but Justin, looking to try and carry momentum through, is something that these drivers can do. You know, you build up confidence in other leagues, in other races, to really try and be able to exclamate yourself higher up in other divisions. We see a lot over at the likes of PSGL and WOR. These drivers will take a little bit of time to practice those, get themselves into the optimal mental state before approaching these sort of team championships where there are prizes to be won and where drivers will want to try and, you know, guarantee themselves the best possible amount of points. Because at the end of the day, points mean prizes, and all the teams here want prizes.
Indeed as well, and Justin got a great slipstream all the way till the line. We were talking about it, so the teammates working together, and Yerne there giving a big slipstream to Justin, who was able to move up to P7 while that was going on. You also had Tyus Korsman going to the front of the field with a 1 minute 38.917. The first driver in it. It'll be interesting to see though, as all of the other drivers push on. Let's see if they can try also join him and try also get ahead. But Korsman looking good right now, and Zach Miles in second. And I also commentated on a great championship battle between those two drivers, provided us with action all the way throughout the season.
But you know, at the end of the day, you know, we give some of these drivers a little bit of grief here and there, but at the end of the day, they are phenomenal talents. Each and every one of these. I mean, realistically, you look at these lap times, you think, well, he's, you know, I'll tell you what, let's get the accurate measurement. 2.4 seconds off of pole time for Bass, right? You think, well, that's easy enough. I can do that. I encourage everyone, give it a go. Just try. It can be so difficult. These drivers are phenomenally talented. As Yerne moves himself over to P2, showing exactly what he is made of, and getting himself that lap where he just needs it. Without the slipstream as well, I might add.
Indeed, as well. So these drivers really talented, especially around a challenging circuit like this, where every single margin is important when it comes to the end of the overall lap time as well. These drivers pushing it all the way throughout, pushing it up to the walls, trying to maximize their lap time. So these drivers are really great at what they do, as well as Yerne is now in second. So he is set at 1 minute 39.069. But these drivers really great talent, and it's great to see. And it's great to see the stars of tomorrow all driving. I know me and you also commentated on, well, apparently the stars of today once as well.
Yeah, very true. But you got to consider there's a very bright future for a lot of these drivers. Of course, all racing for their respective community teams, all of them. As I see a Husk taking it a little bit wide there. Maybe not the optimal line there for Bass, but I'm sure he'll get back up and running for Team Rising Lions. But, you know, we mention it. This is their opportunity, right? They don't have to go and get star-studded performances. They don't need to go and be a Max Verstappen. They don't need to win by 20 seconds because it's not feasible in this game. They just need solid points. End of the day, that'll be enough for the community teams to go, you know what? Solid result. We'll keep you. Next lineup, they're in. They've just got to keep building and building each and every week. Build up the confidence, build up the consistency, find themselves rising through the standings, because at the minute, it's very much looking... I don't want to say it, but I'll show the standings here one more time. It's looking like there's 3 teams really trying to make a challenge for this championship, but you got to consider, with the likes of Shazoo, of CPI, and of Rising Lions, they've got future talent there. They just need to give them more experience. They need to work them in, and then they'll be able to really capitalise on the potential which is there. But without that experience, the driver's going to really struggle to improve to the, you know, optimal potential that they really do have.
Yeah, absolutely. As well then, so we're about to get the last run of qualifying underway. You can see a lot of drivers out there on the circuit. Everyone bar Yerne for WR who's in second. Everyone else is out there on the circuit pushing on and about to attack the Baku City circuit as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they all get on as we now are about to finalize the grid for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix coming up very shortly. Don't believe we'll have a lobby restart, as we haven't seen any grid penalties picked up yet.
No, absolutely not. Pick up a grid penalty, tough luck. You're starting where you finished. But these drivers, you know...
Oh, is that the case here?
I do believe so. I do believe
Lovely.
I mean, you know, it forces them. It forces them to kind of spread it out a little bit, behave themselves a little bit more. None of the dark arts, none of the bump drafting, which we see a couple drivers do here and there. I'm not going to mention any names, but I've seen 1 or 2 drivers here try and get a little bump draft. But what we will need to be careful of, as we are riding on with Nico Vanni here for ABS, that final sector, the final S's, you can actually improve your lap time by clipping a bit of your front wing on the left-hand side, coming out of that final corner, to overall lose front downforce and gain top speed, reaching your, you know, maximum top speed a little bit earlier than the rest of the drivers. Something everyone will have to just keep an eye out for. I'm sure the stewards are going to be very, you know, tentative with those little details. to really try and find anyone trying to bend the rules just slightly to give themselves a competitive advantage. But we do have Nico Vanni coming up towards the line. It'll be P4 for the first ABS driver. The next one, Marco, looking to keep himself within that top 5 throughout the remainder of his qualifying. It's going to be a very tall order. You see him get so close to the wall, Omi. The risk these drivers take, it's, you know, almost unbelievable sometimes.
It is indeed, pushing it all the way till the end. So let's see then what Marco is going to be able to do as he comes over the line. He goes ahead of his teammate. So he is into P4 as well then. As we're also now going to be seeing Riley McKay has invalidated his lap time. So that's not what he wants as well. But right now, Tyus Korsman is still also pushing on. He is going to be looking to improve his time and take it further away from the field.
Yeah, and Missy's ended up having a collision in the castle section. He was pushing a little bit too hard. He's out of his session. He'll be starting P12 at the very best. But Tyus Korsman, where's he going to be able to put the car? He's going to be able to put it into the pit lane.
He is indeed. So it seems like that he doesn't feel like there was more to improve on the lap time. He's got P1 right now anyway, unless someone can take it away. Luke Mills seems like he is improving as well by over a 1/10 of a second, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. But he was all out of shape on the exit before the sweepers there.
And this is exactly what I'm on about. Take a look at Bass here, no front wing, had that little accident, but you can see absolutely storming past that Sauber car with the rear wing wide open. Both of them going to be diving it into the pits. So not looking likely we're going to see too many more improvements. We do have Luke coming up towards the line here. Currently in P8. Stays in P8. Christian diving it into the pits. And then I do believe that'll be Yannick also diving it into the pits. So that'll be the end of the qualifying session, Omi. Tyus Korsman secures himself pole position by a relatively healthy margin.
Healthy margin indeed. Didn't even lead a last run on the board as well there. Didn't find any, of course, didn't set the last run there. Decided to come into the pit lane, but his second one was good enough to be at the front of the field. And great stuff by him there, and Yona able to also maintain P2. So an interesting session as well, and it will be interesting to see how these drivers get on in the race. But I think we're going to be in for plenty of action coming our way now.
Absolutely, with the likelihood of safety cars being so high around Baku, let alone a potential red flag, which, you know, I'm sure will be a feature for next year's game. It hasn't quite been a feature for this year's game, but it's not the end of the world. But to run you through the qualifying order for the race start, we have Tyus Korsman, P1, Jerne Donsvan, P2, Zach Miles, P3, Marco, P4, Nico, P5, Victor, P6, Justin Hayat, P7, Luke Mills, P8, Christian, P9, Riley, P10, Paolo, P11, whoa, Lutinski, P12. I tried that first name before, it's not working. Yannick, P13, Missy, P14. Very interesting. Got to see what he's going to be able to cook up in the race. Thomas Baldra, P15, and Bass, P16. But, of course, Omi, none of this would be available without our sponsors, so I feel like it's only fair to hear from them. Well, here we are. Soon to be race start. But Omi, those clouds, they're not looking the brightest. Perhaps could be in for a chance of a little bit of rain in this race. But of course, we can never really predict anything. The amount of times we've suggested there might be rain and it's been bone dry. And the amount of times it's been beautiful sunshine and chucked it down, raining cats and dogs. You can never really predict what's going to happen here at EML. And that's part of the beauty.
Yes, absolutely. It's lovely when it's unpredictable and we do not know what is going to happen at all.
Hold on, Omi.
Yes, let's see.
Nordic in chat. W sponsors just too broke to buy. No, Nordic. You got to rethink. Got to rethink the strategy. You're not too broke to buy, right? It's okay. Soon. That's what I keep telling myself. I see those pieces of kit and I'm like, right. I think I'd be quicker in them. I probably wouldn't be, because I don't have, you know, the capability to practice as much as these drivers. But we do have the 5 red lights for the start of the Baku Grand Prix here at EOR. EOR? No, EML. And here we go. Lights out. And we see Tyus Korsman leading down into turn 1. Exactly what he needs to do. But Yerne keeping him honest. Making sure he can't exactly scamper away after that first turn. But Zach Miles going very defensive there at turn 3. Trying to ward off any sort of driver. We've also got Victor Wild up there. Just getting pushed towards that inside. A little bit too much from the ABS driver. But we're seeing everyone starting that hard compound tyre. Apart from Riley, who's opted for the medium. He'll be looking to try and make moves up throughout this field, but we do have many battles breaking out all over the place. We do have Nico really doing a fantastic job holding on to P5 so far. Justin Ayert's P6 really going to be hot on his heels, but we are starting to see a couple of these gaps form between a lot of the drivers where they're looking to try and get moves sorted, which might not be in the optimal position. But when it comes to these early stages of the race, it's where you can try for these risky moves. You can try and, you know, do something a little bit off the cuff. You can risk losing a little bit of time to the cars in front because everyone else is so bundled up together. DRS won't be open for another 2 laps. So if you're really going to try and make anything to kind of, you know, disrupt the rhythm of the other cars, you're going to want to do it in the first couple laps. That's why we see contact so often at the start of Grand Prix. But thankfully, every single one of the 16 drivers have been able to make it through the majority of his first lap unscathed.
Yes, we still have the sweepers to go to fully make sure that that is the answer to that question. Tyus Korsman is trying to pull a 1 second gap. Yerne is trying to stick with him as well. They're all using a bit of ERS. Through the sweepers, they go as well, trying to make up some moves. Justin could be looking for one on Nico Viani as well down the straight. He's getting a decent toe, and if he continues to use the ERS, which he's not going to do, so he might just try and close in and look for the move. Talking about the move, looks like we're going to get one for the race lead.
Yeah, just exactly as you would expect. Nice and easy down to the inside of a Ferrari car. But he decides just to try and disrupt Tyus a little bit. Decides to hold him up. Doesn't want to get that move sorted into turn 2 because he knows he's got a brilliant opportunity heading into turn 3. He's not exactly a fan of the dark arts like myself. Chooses not to put Tyus Korsman into the wall. But we do have some very defensive driving there from Nico Vanni in the background. Having a little bit of a locker, but he's ran wide. He's having to flick that car around. I think he's avoided front wing damage, which is going to be very fortunate for him. And he can just rejoin the track as easy as he likes, not having to worry about any collision because ghosting is thankfully on for that driver. But Nico, not the best start he would have hoped for.
Yes, both Ferraris though going on the attack, both WR drivers going on the attack. But there we can see Tyus Korsman following super closely. They're all very close right now. The top 4 pushing each other through the castle section, but it's single file stuff. So they're not going to be looking for moves there, but they're all pushing on right now so much and all tucked up behind each other. Great to see right now. Already we're having an interesting race, and possibly even the rain could be coming later on in this one. So who knows?
Tease me. Don't tease me with the prospect of rain around here, Omi. It could be absolutely phenomenal. But Yerne, I do want to point out, showing once again WR on top of the teamwork aspect, backing up the field through the castle section to ensure his teammate can get the DRS from Marco, which he's been able to do. It's an ideal scenario now for WR because they do have both of their drivers in a DRS train, which is then split backwards from the likes of Victor and Riley, who don't have the DRS.
Yep, indeed as well. Battling all continuing down the straight. Riley McKay on the medium compound tyre, the only driver who is on the mediums, has made his way up to P6 as he tries to make some overtakes in this one. But yeah, great teamwork there by WR just to make sure that Justin does get that DRS, and is also part of this and also part of the party. Yannick won't be though for the rest of this race as he has retired, and it looks like we have a virtual safety car out on the circuit.
Nordic Ninja, cover your eyes, my friends. It's not ideal start there for RLS, but with Bass still in it, a VSC, it's not the end of the world. Drivers having to go around to the delta pace. Some drivers might be able to pick up even a sneaky little bit of an advantage. See Yerne there really trying to push out the upper limits of what he's allowed to do to try and just benefit from it in any sort of manner. But unfortunately he wasn't able to. And most importantly, we do have the VSC disappearing before we end up getting to the DRS detection point for that also powerful DRS down the straight.
Yep, very quick DRS there. Very quick virtual safety car, I should say, as well, coming in very quickly, closing the field up once again before we're about to make our way onto the straight, as he mentioned as well. So Yerne, who will be leading Zach Miles who was able to get ahead of Korsman on the last lap. And so he's now going to be in second, and Korsman, of course, in third as well. Down the straight we go once again. They're all going to be very, very close together. Once more then. So let's see who is going to be making some moves. The top four looking close to each other. So let's see if anyone's going to pull out of the slipstream and look for a move. Who might be getting an easy move possibly for the lead. No, Zach Miles is going to back out of it. So he does not want to take the lead into turn number 1. So now they're just trying to sit behind, get into a bit of a rhythm, and continue on like this in the race. Not wanting to have any contact as well, like we saw with Nico Viani, as they were all squabbling. So they were all just currently following each other and in a bit of a waiting phase as well right now.
Absolutely. And to pose a question to you, why would you really want to lead the race? If you're Zach Miles, if you're Tyus Korsman, more than happy to sit back. You don't need to burn your ERS to try and keep hold of the lead, which is undoubtedly going to change given the way the Baku circuit works. You could just feel free to run P2, P3, you know, even the likes of Marco P4 just in P5, and now Riley in P6, who have all caught up to this train. They're all in contention to battle for the race lead. It's about who's going to be able to save their tyres for most, save enough fuel, depending on the different scenarios, depending on the different situations, and most importantly, who's going to be able to bank enough ERS for that final run in the dying laps. That'll be the key point of this race. It's going to feel very much like a bit of a slow cooking meal. You put in a bunch of raw ingredients, it's absolutely disgusting. No one likes it. You put a bit of stock in, start smelling a little bit good, you turn it on, you just gotta wait. Fortunately, we won't have to wait for 4 hours like our mother's slow cooker, because I feel like this race might be boiling up before even the first stint is over on these hard compound tyres.
Yes, that's when you start seeing some changes as well, so definitely can change around a little bit as well. You can see Zach Miles almost dropping outside the 1 second, and that's one thing he cannot afford to do. He can't afford to drop outside the 1 second and drop away from the train. In the background, that's going to be a move by Christian getting past Victor Riddler down on the straight towards turn 1 with a bit of DRS. But of course, sitting behind at this stage, saving the air, saving the tires, fuel, as you mentioned, definitely is the way to go at this stage of the race at the start. As well, and really even at the end you want to be behind as well, going on to the last lap when it all matters, of course, and sometimes it's even a run up to the line as well. So it's always very exciting to see here between all of these drivers at 5 out of 26. So it's going to be a bit of a slow burner, but the action is going to start to come, as you mentioned, when the pit stops as well happen. That's when the drivers can sometimes start squabbling it out like crazy. And of course, safety cars on. I'll get you a bit excited again. A bit of rain could possibly change it all up.
No, don't. Okay, please don't. I'm gonna start yelling if I get too excited to that. I can't afford to do that. Noise complaints, they come for you one way or another. But Luke Mills looking to apply the pressure to Victor there. Victor might not have got his tyres in that best condition. He seems to be very much struggling through that second sector. But when it comes back down to the straight and getting that tow, getting that slipstream, he's more than capable to hold his own for the NLR outfit. But I do just want to mention, right, we do have Riley on those medium tyres. Caught up to this lead pack. TF10. We know they quite often cook with strategies. Sometimes it's overcooked, sometimes it's completely raw, other times it's absolutely perfect. Could this be one of those times where it's going to be absolutely perfect? Because I've just got that feeling, and I don't know what it is, Obi, that it might be the one.
Yes, could be indeed as well. So that will be interesting to see later on in the race. Still, they're squabbling all behind in the battle for P7. That is 3 seconds off the back of the battle and the train for the lead right now. At this stage, we're getting a little bit of overtaking going on there right now. So we're just currently still watching them all make their way through, and that is Hello looking for a move, trying to find a way through, but sitting behind as well. So lap 6 out of 26, and still all of these drivers, especially in this train, all still absolutely looking to try work together, gain onto the train for the lead right now. That will definitely be their goal, and try also gain a bit in the pit stop phase as well.
Absolutely. If you're Luke Mills, right, you're stuck behind Christian. Christian clearly doesn't want to work together to catch up to this front train. Fair enough, right? Drivers are allowed to do whatever they want. Teams are allowed to go for their own thought process. But personally, if I was Christian, I wouldn't necessarily mind letting Luke past. use him for a little bit of DRS. You might not even necessarily close up on that front group, because at this point they are 3.8 seconds ahead. But you could just reserve yourself a little bit. It's all about pace management around Baku. Yes, it can be boring. It can be a drag. We're well aware of that. Don't you worry. That's why me and Obi are here, to crack jokes, keep it entertaining, and hopefully not crack any front wings like the drivers might be susceptible to around this S's section. It's a great circuit, Baku. I mean, I won't lie, I do absolutely love it. And it looks like Thijs Korsman might be loving it as well, picking up a beautiful slipstream heading down into turn 1. But again, he's just a little too far back to make the move, and Zach Miles not interested in taking the lead of the race so far.
Yep, not indeed as well, but Christian letting Luke Mills through there as well down that straight, so maybe he is going to listen to our little advice there. And of course, it definitely won't hurt all of them. They can just do this, if they aren't going to gain, they can just try to do the same strategy as what the leaders are doing, where you can just sit behind, save the tires, fuel, and save everything up as well. It won't really do you any harm, as that's Mizzy to the inside, and he manages to move up to P10, and he'll be looking to make his way through the field.
Yes, I do believe Discord is having a slight problem with your microphone, Omi. I do believe it's actually connection related, because we all know how much we love Discord. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. It's very similar to TeamSpeak, apart from Discord. We'll post a couple more memes on our social media page, hence the reason why everyone chooses to use it in the industry. I promise you, memes make dreams. Speaking of dreams, Mizzy, unfortunate in qualifying to get the DNF, but sitting P10, already showing he's got the pace to catch up to this battle for P7. It's not the end of the world for the TTM driver.
Not the end of the world indeed for him as well. And yes, classic Discord stuff, isn't it? Typical Discord.
You've just got to love it. You know, some stuff we're able to control. We're able to control volume, but when it comes to you know, internet connections just disappearing into the ether, it's one of those we can't always control. Someone looking to try and get a bit more control of their Grand Prix here is going to be Zach Miles, moving over to that left-hand side to help Marco out, give Marco a little bit of a slipstream to make sure he can get that move sorted on Thijs Korsman. Very strategic there from the NLR driver. Would you... Omi, I'm going to pose you this question. Would you prefer Thijs Korsman or Marco sitting behind you? Because for me, I wouldn't want either. Personally, I would want, you know, Alex behind me.
Yes. Indeed, both really fast drivers as well. And now Marco's going to attack Zach Miles. Nose thrown up the inside. And now they're banging wheels. And he's still trying to go all the way around the outside. And he is going to take the position. So that plan didn't go well for Zach Miles.
What a thank you from Marco to Zach Miles there. Thanks for helping me get past on Thijs Korsman. I'm just going to burn you now in the second sector and potentially lose touch of this race lead here. Certainly very interesting, but we are noticing it's getting a bit darker. Maze has correctly pointed it out in chat as well. It is getting a little bit darker. Are these drivers now deciding to push that a little bit harder with the knowledge that it will rain later on in the race? Only a matter of time we'll be able to tell. And we know what happens when drivers push it a little bit too hard around Baku. They turn very stupid, and they'll quite often find themselves in the castle section. Hopefully for WR, not in a scarlet red car.
Yes, hopefully for them in G. But I think now Zach Miles would have kind of preferred Thijs Korsman being on the back, because Thijs Korsman was getting close, but he was never making the move. But Marco, not even a move at turn 1, it was a move near the second sector there as well. And, well, now Thijs Korsman, because Zach Miles is losing touch, now maybe Thijs Korsman might be a bit more interested in trying to make a move down the straight. But actually, it looks like Justin's going to be flying through as well.
Wow. This is working absolutely a peach for WRs at the minute, isn't it? 1.7 seconds now the lead. Yeah, Nate deciding to burn a little bit of our battery down the straight. Building that gap. It's exactly what he needs to do. He's just got to keep control, understand exactly what he's doing. TF10, we do have one of our representatives in chat saying, nice, losing DRS to P1. Zach used 100% of his brain. I don't really think you can blame Zach for that one. He was kind of caught, he was kind of pinched at the apex. He didn't really have a choice to battle for. If he ended up backing out, he would have basically had to park his car there when Marco was making that move around the outside. Very opportunistic from the ABS driver. You can't say anything against that move. It's not one we'll see very often. It was very brave, very audacious, but it has lost him touch with P1 at the minute. surely this swings the ball all the way back over to WR's court.
It definitely does as well. And now it'll be Justin who will be looking to try and attack Zach Miles. Korsman still following very, very closely. But Yerne, 1.7 seconds gap. They're going to be really happy. You've got a WR driver in the lead. You've got a WR driver making his way up through the field, pushing on, getting towards that, getting towards the front of the pack. So looking good for them on lap number 9 of this contest right now.
Certainly is looking good. You know what? I might even say it looks better than good. I might say it might be looking very much towards an optimal place for WR. They've got the drivers split with enough of a gap where you could potentially start making an argument that if Justin decides to back up TF10 a little bit, they could potentially make a double stop on the one lap if the rain does come, if they are forced into that situation, not having to sacrifice either driver. When you compare that to the likes of what TF10 are going to have to deal with, they're either going to have to double stack or sacrifice one of these drivers an awful lot of positions when or if the rain even comes.
Yeah, indeed. As well, if the rain does decide to make its appearance. And we're just currently waiting and waiting to see. It's been dark all the way through, and I hate when it does this. I hate this waiting phase for that rain if it is going to come, as Tyres Korsman absolutely drifting the car through, not helping him at all though. It's a 1 second gap now ahead, and he's got his teammate all over the back as well now.
Yeah, absolutely. Saw a very cheeky overtake there from Victor, getting both of them going down into turn 3, grabs P9, leaving Mizzy and Alfonso to battle it out between each other. Fantastic stuff there from the NLR driver. Surely looking to try and catch back up to his teammate. Currently sitting at P3. It is just the waiting game now, isn't it?
Yes, just the waiting game right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a good job. I've got a lovely form of entertainment for us as we'll watch these cars track through. I do actually have a book. It's not the book that people are used to. It's not the fact book Alex has. But it is certainly a book which contains facts. And it does contain a couple facts around Baku.
Interesting.
Right. Just saying, it's getting darker and darker. It will rain. I'm convinced. If it doesn't rain, me and Omi will go down on the final lap, down into turn 1, and just pour a bunch of water on the track. Do something there. But Zach Miles, reclaiming P2 down into turn 1. Exactly what he needs to do, but the price has been paid. Yerne's 1.8 seconds ahead. He's got a lot of work to do. He's going to have to use up a lot of his tyres, a lot of his battery, if he wants to try and close that back up to 1 second. So, I'll tell you what. Let's have a little look. Apparently, the average speed around this circuit is 123.077 miles an hour. I feel sorry for the cameraman who had to follow a car around at that pace. Oh. Oh, did you see that? Did we both catch on the same thing there? Justin, having a slight slide for that sector 2.
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe those hard tyres aren't looking as good as we initially thought on lap 11 here. Having a little slide, Tyres Korsman surely going to be sniffing at the back of that Ferrari car for an overtake.
Indeed then, so that's going to be interesting to see as well then. And still, they're all following, still all pushing each other through right now this circuit, which of course in real life we go to much more later on, as it's been moved to September. So let's hope that we get a good race here around the circuit in real life as well.
September 15th. It'll be a little bit colder. Should make it a little bit more interesting, especially if we're going to chuck on the stupidly soft sets of tyres again. It might be a little bit of fun. But someone who's certainly not looking just to have fun here, he wants to get himself a solid podium. Lee Marco moving himself back up into P2, more than happy to keep this battle going with Zach Miles. But all while this is happening, Yerne cruising out in front. He's got probably a safe enough window now that if he does want to go a lap longer and really try and match the undercut, I feel like he might be in a position to do so. But we have seen Latinsky and Riley both dive in the pits. Riley going to another set of medium tyres, going for the 2-stop. That's very, very bold.
Yeah, indeed. As well then, so this is going to be. I think Yone just trying to continue to pull away. He gained a second as well. It was 1.8 earlier on, so he's been able to gain a further second. Now it's 3 seconds. He's going to continue to look to try and extend that as well. So excited to see how his pace is going to be by the end of the race as well. Of how far he's going to be ahead, if he is going to be ahead, but there still could be changes coming in, like safety cars and Baku chaos as well, as per usual. So we're just currently waiting for most of the drivers to pit. We've of course had Riley McKay and also Mac Hughes dived it into the pit lane, but other than that, we're still waiting, aren't we?
Yeah, very much waiting, but I'm going to be very interested to see what Riley's able to cook up here on this medium set. Going for a 2-stop. If it wasn't Baku, I would call it ridiculous. It would be completely out there. Why? Why on earth? But given it is Baku, given, you know, we have seen incidents in this series so far in the calendar over the last 5 rounds, there is a chance that if something does happen, he might be in a prime position here to get moves sorted on this medium compound tyre and try and hope for a safety car. Because realistically, I don't see him being able to climb back up into P6 with this current strategy he's on, unless it is down to a safety car. As we're going to see more drivers dive it into the pits here. We've got Victor and Alfonso both diving it into the pits, and Riley making himself even more noted on the track. Climbing up into P9 there, on that medium set of tyres. Nice knees down the inside of Thomas Baltra. Thomas had no intention of fighting that one back.
Yep, no intention of fighting that one there indeed, but with Riley McKay putting 2 sets of mediums, could be possibly maybe due to the maybe rain coming later on.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe.
James, solid point. Very solid point. But I will also mention, we are watching you in chat, and I am listening to the tinfoil hat conspiracy from Admire Foot. Do you want to hear it, Omi?
Oh, I love hearing things from you. Go on.
I have a theory that Yannick retired on purpose, as when he crashed, he wasn't retired firstly, and then after losing positions, retired. That's tinfoil hat material. No, I highly doubt it. You know, if it was roles reversed and it was Bass, you know, I would say the tinfoil hat would have more tinfoil to it. But given Yannick was in a better position, I don't think it was intentional in the slightest for RLS.
Indeed. As well then, still though on circuit, still they're all driving around and still continuing to push on that as well. And Zach Miles though into the pit lane, so is Justin, so is Tyus Korsman. So as we kind of previewed to you earlier on, now we're getting the pit stop. This is when the race can maybe start to get a little bit exciting, where all of the drivers will battle it out a bit more, and also it's interesting to see where they all come out as well.
Yes, absolutely. But now is the time Yerne and Marco really have to push those hard tyres already towards the end of their life. Not feeling the greatest, not necessarily given the optimal amount of grip they would be really hoping for, but they've got to use it now. They've got to try and scratch every bit of grip off of those tyres possible to be able to make sure they're able to cover off the undercut from the likes of Zach Miles, Justin. All while this has happened as well, Riley sneaking himself up into P4. Now, has been a little mention here, saying that the double mediums, it was a glitch. The game put on the wrong tyres. But, that being said, if a safety car would come out, I'm sure Riley wouldn't have minded this little glitch too much.
Yeah, if there was to be a safety car, I wouldn't mind it at all too much as well, and he's going to be hoping that we do get a safety car with the glitch he's got going, with the glitch that he had earlier on as well. Classic F1 23 stuff going on there. And that's a bit of great action there, as Mizzy was passed by Justin.
Justin, brave on the overtake there. Don't quite often see many overtakes around there. Mizzy, clearly showing he's not a fan of battling this. He doesn't need to. He's just got to run his own race. He's got to dive it into the pits, probably this lap. If not, he might be doing something a little different. Might be looking to try and go over to the soft compound tyre, but it'll take an awful lot of time to be able to try and get that plan all cooked up. And then at that point, you're looking at making as many overtakes as you possibly can in quick succession, which isn't always the easiest around the circuit. But Zach and Justin both got through. Tyus got through as well, but you are starting to see those gaps open up towards 8 temps. This is where they've really got to be careful with the ERS. We see a lot of red lights flashing. This is their opportunity now, where those who have been able to kind of nurture a little bit more can really start to push, so to say. Likes of Yerne, out in front for a little bit, had a bit of clean air, didn't have to worry about pressure from behind. He's still got a little bit more battery. Then the likes of Zach Miles, who's going to really, really struggle to hold on to this DRS. Yes, the undercuts worked. It's closed him up a little bit, but he will be paying the ultimate price at the end of the day.
He will be indeed then. So now we've seen all of the pit stops coming. We've still got many gaps as well in this field. Now that will result in plenty of more action as well. Still a few trains as well. But Riley McCabe then currently in P1 of course, but still will be hoping, he will be praying for a safety car to come out onto the circuit, and that will really, really help him in this race.
Absolutely. But you've got to consider, whatever WR ate for breakfast, whatever their engineering team, their strategists have done, I feel like they might have to share the secret. Currently having a car sitting a net P1 and a net P3. Given there's no safety car, it's looking very solid for them.
Looking solid for them indeed as well then. And there you can now see Tyus Korsman getting super close to an attack on the rear wing of Justin there, tucking out of the system, now tucking back in, and we're also going to be seeing Justin trying to make a move on Zach Miles.
Uh-oh, there we go. We're seeing the WR teamwork. Yerne moving across, giving Justin a little bit of slipstream where he needs it to try and get that move sorted down for P2. Is it going to be enough? Justin just able to squeeze ahead there at the apex. Brilliant stuff, but Zach Miles still there. Still trying to hold it around the outside, but he's going to have to back off there at turn 2. There's not enough space. George Russell and Max Verstappen told us that one a couple, well, I'll say a couple seasons ago. It wasn't really, was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
Formula 1 felt very long though.
Yeah.
Winner.
Honestly, if I have to hear the Dutch anthem again, I'll be absolutely fuming. But Paolo, retiring in the pit lane after having a little instant there at turn 2, the previous lap, decides it's time to call it a day. It's time to retire the car. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate for the Aston Martin driver. Sole representative, you've just got to give it a moment of silence. You really do.
We do indeed. And I'm now hoping that we don't hear the Dutch anthem in Japan now. I'm already having a few fears as well, especially as a Ferrari fan.
It's okay.
For that case.
It's okay, because we could just focus on the entertainment here at EML with Yerne and Justin.
Ferrari doing well here at least.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. They're doing a solid job so far, but parties have been spoiled before around Baku.
Yes, definitely.
Now I'm having flashbacks to Leclerc's qualifying lap.
Yeah, indeed then. Down the straight once more though. And still WR doing very, very well indeed. Now running a net first and second as well. On lap number 17 out of 26 on this one. And WR might just be able to control this one, block the road as well on the final lap as well. So they're really going to try and really work together in this one as they are, as they already have done all race long. So they're doing absolutely fantastic this race are WR.
Tell you what, Omi, it's not only just been all race long though, has it? We saw it in qualifying. It's been all season long. It's been ridiculous how well they work together. Understanding that whether it's going to come from, you know, engineers, you know, just spending time outside of a track, they all understand exactly what they need to do to really try and get themselves a step ahead of the competition. And it certainly showed and come to fruition here today around Baku. But we are saying that there are still 9 racing laps remaining. It is sim racing at the end of the day. Anything can happen, as I saw Tyus Korsman go a little bit closer to the ball than I would feel comfortable with watching. But he's able to get out of it somehow. I get PTSD every time I see that castle section now. I really regret mentioning Ferrari, but we'll ask chat for their predictions. Who do you feel like is going to go on and win this race? There's an easy answer, and then there's a creative answer. Omi, I'm interested in hearing it. Who do you feel like is going to win?
Now it depends whether I want to go creative or not.
I don't know. Do you?
Well, I think I should pick someone who's not right now in this train. Due to if I do pick them, then they probably won't be able to do anything. So Riley McKay's dived it into the pit lane. So I'm just gonna go and say Luke Mills. I'm gonna say there's gonna be a safety car, absolute chaos, Baku, typical chaos, and we're gonna have Luke Mills winning.
That is so far out there, I wasn't even expecting it. Very, very interesting. Right.
I'm feeling creative though, you know.
Okay. I'll see what you're cooking. And I'm going to stir the pot. I'm going to say Justin. I'm going to say this teamwork's going to work absolutely perfectly until the final lap of the race. And then Justin's going to try and bolt it.
Interesting. Lovely.
I mean, it's a team championship, but the drivers, they want to win. That goes without saying. I reckon Justin going to be a wise old cookie and find himself on the top step of the podium after not necessarily dark arts, but maybe slightly less informed arts, as we do have a yellow flag in sector 1, and that's Bass there having a little bit too much overspeed at turn 3, so much so that his brakes couldn't keep up.
Indeed, and Zach Miles with a few scruffy corners there, getting the attentions of Tyus Korsman, and onto the straight they go then once more, and Korsman using just a little bit of ERS to remain close and follow then onto the start finish straight, which we are making our way into the final stages of this one, and still waiting to see who is going to take victory. How chaotic is this going to get? And is there any other late drama that is to come in this race, which it's sim racing. I'm sure there is going to be something exciting happening at the end of this one.
You just know it. You could write the script for it. Something's going to happen. It won't all stay perfectly balanced, as we're going to see Mizzy here try and go for the overtake. Victor getting sorted, getting past Nico. Mizzy following him past as well. Exactly what they need to do. They need to keep working together to try and catch themselves up. Mizzy on that fresher compounded tyre. You would surely think he's going to be looking to try and get that move sorted on Victor sooner rather than later. But can he afford to at the minute? He's got that red light flashing. It's not looking absolutely peachy for him. Or as peachy as he would necessarily like. Very similar thing can be said for Tyus Korsman, Zach Miles and Marco here. All separated by such little time. It might very well come down to who's going to be the bravest on the brakes, or maybe the most creative with the battery inputs.
Yes, absolutely as well. Let's see who's going to be a bit creative like me with my little prediction there. But let's see who's going to do it on the circuit with their ERS, with their track, with how they're going to manage this right at the end as well, where they're going to place the car. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting for us all to see. And we currently are just waiting to find out how this story then ends as well. But yes, do let us know your predictions in the live chat and give us your thoughts on it all. Let's see if anyone's able to be a bit more creative than me, which I'm sure most of you are going to be if you are supporting someone that's right now a bit more lower down.
Absolutely, but seeing here once again, drivers just holding position. They really don't want to make this move. Anyone would have thought they're trying to fight for P4. It really does look that way, doesn't it?
Yes, battles behind though. That's where the chaos is coming, and we have Mizzy now trying to make a move. Victor Riddler parking the car on the apex. Mizzy giving a little tap. Then you have Riley McKay not interested in waiting around at all. That's another nose thrown by Mizzy, and Riley McKay not interested in waiting. Gonna use a bit of ERS. Going to try and make his way through. Mizzy out of ERS. And now let's see, is there going to be enough room for Riley McKay to try and make the move to the inside? Mizzy still all the while trying to attack. Victor Riddler, fantastic racing so far, and Mizzy's going to be so late on the brakes, and he'll run Victor Riddler outright, and Riley McKay's going to get past there. He's also now going to try and get past on Mizzy, who's going to once again park it on the inside, and this is getting really close.
Yeah, it's getting very close, getting very aggressive. Sure, Victor's not going to be happiest with the overtake there, but Mizzy doing exactly what he needs to do to put himself up into P8 with that soft compound tyre runner behind him. This is where he's really got to try and hold up the rest of the field, isn't it? This is where he's got to really try and back up that soft compound runner. Try and make Nico get an opportunity to get that overtake sorted on Riley before Riley can try and make the overtake on him.
Indeed as well. It's a great battle to be keeping an eye out when all of the drivers at the front of the field currently just in a bit of a waiting phase, waiting for the last lap to come. So that's when we're really going to get the action. But they are all super close together down the straight. And Marco having a little look, forcing a little defensive shape by Tyres Coulson, but they are still going to remain in order, but they won't be behind her, where Riley McKay is going to try now with DRS, get past Mizzy as well, already alongside, and he's going to now be moving ahead, Riley McKay.
Absolutely, and it's not going to stop there for Mizzy. We've got Nico getting that move sorted as well. Use of a DRS. Mizzy, unfortunately, not being able to pick up the DRS. I'm sure he would have ideally liked to. Maybe lifted off a throttle a little bit for it as well, which probably wouldn't have helped his case heading down into turn 1. But end of the day, he's still P10. He's still on fresher tyres for Nico Banny. It's not all over until the fat lady sings, and so far she's been perfectly silent throughout the rest of this race, but I'm sure we're going to hear some yodeling on lap 25 and lap 26 of this race. We're just having to wait. We're going to have to tuck in tight. Now, go grab popcorn, go grab water, because it's going to get very hot and heated in the next couple of laps here.
Yes, it's about to become very heated, very chaotic, and what we really expect from Baku when we come to Baku, I think we all know what we sign up for as well. Chaos as well. So now let's see then, what sort of chaos are we going to get to the end? So now is your time. Quickly go get some snacks and drinks organized to enjoy the ending of this and what we're all building up till, and it's going to be absolutely frenetic at the end. So this is going to be exciting to see everyone, all of the drivers still remaining close. So it's going to be some squabbling right at the end on the 25th and 26th tour of the race.
Oh, we've got to stay on lap 21 though.
Maybe. Who knows?
Hold up. Marco. Hello. Marco. Polo. Marco. Polo.
But this is not part of the
Marco.
script.
Oh, okay. Right. I thought for a moment he was just going to absolutely send it into turn 1. Backs out there. Chooses to wait for a little bit wiser. He knows Tyus is a very aggressive driver. He's stern on his defensive moves. Understood there was going to be no overtaking opportunity down there at turn 1. No Marco Polo game just yet, Omi, but I feel like it'll only be a matter of time because we are starting to see moves break out across the field. Mizzy getting back past Nico, showing he does have that pace on that fresh compounded tyre. He won't have the battery to necessarily go and try and hunt down Riley. Riley's got the tyre as well. That's perfectly fine to the end. We've got Laczynski there grabbing the fastest lap as well. But with all this breaking out, it's really about that top flight battle, isn't it? You've got to consider, is Zach Miles going to really want to try and go against a 2v1 with Yane and Justin defending those front 2 spots? Or is he really going to look behind him a little bit more and try and defend himself from the likes of Tyus and Marco, who seemingly have an awful lot of pace, still left on those medium compounded tyres?
They do, indeed. Thought we were going a bit off script there into turn number 1. We might still do before we get right onto the last lap. We still might be getting some overtaking already coming in. Some drivers want to put themselves possibly in those 4th and 3rd to have the best chance to try and attack if they are feeling brave. But yeah, Zach Miles so far has been looking in his mirrors more than ahead to try and attack the WL drivers. If the opportunity's there, he definitely will go for it. But the battling is behind, and Tyus Korsman low on ERS. So maybe it looks like we are going to go a little bit off script, as Marco isn't going to wait around. He's going to use the DRS, and he's going to try and have an attack to the first turn of the circuit.
Yeah, both of them now showing that red flashing light, not in an ideal place. Tyus there, still on the inside, still wants to defend this line, but he just won't get enough traction out of there. Still red, still flashing. Marco moves himself up into P4 with that little bit of extra battery. It comes back to what we were saying about resource management. Honestly, you might as well call Formula 123 Civilization 7 the way it's been going. As we got a surprise join of Julian Klaffenbach for RHG joining. I don't believe that's the right server, Julian.
I don't believe that is part I don't believe that is the right server in Deed
There we
as well,
go.
and he's realised that, and he has left. So we get some interesting stuff like that going on as well. We did tell you that there was going to be some interesting stuff at the end of this one, like that, as Riley McKay has retired and the safety car is out.
On the final opportunity, well, how has this
Oh my
changed? Roles reversed between WOR and TF10. WOR had the world at their fingertips in that first stint for a safety car. But it's all gone backwards. Safety cars are going to ruin one of their drivers' races. It's now decision time for WOR. Which driver do you bring in, Omi?
Yes, absolutely. This is going to be frenetic. This is going to be chaotic. Oh, I cannot wait for this one.
I just want to point out as well, Maze in chat said 0 safety cars. Yes. I am in shock. Right before the safety car got called out. If you want a tinfoil hat conspiracy, guys, Maze is the race director. You're welcome. It's all planned out. But we are seeing a little bit of sneaky work here from WOR. Trying to build up a gap between the two drivers. I'm sure Zach Miles, Marco Tyres aren't exactly going to be the happiest of it, but they really aren't in a position to do too much about it. They're just going to have to sit away behind a little bump draft.
Tyres Corsman's making an overtake on Marco in the pit lane, before the pit lane.
Well, I sure hope Tyres has read the rules, because I don't think that's the way you're supposed to be able to do it. But, question, where's Justin going to come out in all this?
This is going to be exciting. Soft tyres attached to the cars. Wow. And them going all in at the end. Oh, well, we promised you action. Of course, it's going to deliver late safety car. Last opportunity we could get one. We had a lot of interesting stuff going on, but this is going to definitely be at the top of the table. This is going to really give us plenty of action. We were going to have action already. You're going to have more drivers in the mix. You're going to have absolutely everything going on at the end. You're going to have so much overtaking. This is going to be an absolutely fantastic race. And of course, now you've not got a WR 1 and 2. You've got more cars in between, so it's not going to be as easy as they would have been expecting, as there will be no DRS for Yerne.
Yeah,
and for anyone actually, because we're gonna of course not be able to have the DRS zone, but there won't be slipstream. That's the crucial thing.
Yes, absolutely. But questions still need to be asked. There's two ways I can see this one going, Omi. So hold with me on this one. Option A, it's absolute balmy, right? Everyone deploys the battery, completely jumps everything. It's absolute chaos, right? Or everyone's on such equal pace up at the front, all on the same age tyre, all have full battery. It's going to be a complete standoff until that very last run down to the line. There are two ways I could see it going.
I think both.
It might just be both. It might be a bit of chaos, settle down, absolute complete barnstorm of an end. But certainly going to be interesting to see. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Bass is going to be able to catch up to the rest of the field. Still going down the straight between turns 2 and turns 3. Safety car should be in at the end of this lap.
There we go.
So, Yerne leading the pack. Zach Miles hot on his heels, and then Tyres Korsman as well in P3. Marco, the disruptor, the one who's willing to make moves and cause a little bit of distraction for everyone in P4. How much more distraction is the ABS driver going to be able to make here under this safety car getaway, because he will get backed up into the rest of the field here. Your Luke Mills prediction might not be looking too shabby if we end up seeing something happening up at the front here. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. But, real question, when does Yerne decide to go? He's waiting. He's going to leave it so late. I can see it coming.
Oh, he's going to leave it late.
Oh, dear. Here we go. Pulled over. Now he's weaving. He's breaking the toe. He's gone. He doesn't want anyone to pick up any extra slipstream than what we're already going to get. We've got Justin there pulling right alongside Marco. Is he going to be able to make the move down to someone? Late on the brakes from a Ferrari driver. A little squeeze to the inside there from Marco. Brilliant defensive driving around the outside, holding back Justin. But is it going to be enough into turn 2? A little wheel bang, a little rub in his racing. And Justin's able to deploy a little bit more battery to climb himself up into P4, but he's not alone. Luke Mills, hot on his heels, trying to pull to the inside. There's not enough space for him. There's a wall there, Luke. You're going to have to behave yourself. And Luke is going to have to settle there for P6. Mizzy up into P8 as well. But all the time, while this is breaking out, you've got to consider Yerne, Zach, Tyus. They're all thinking about this race for the podium. Which order do they want it to be in? realistically, anything can happen from here on out.
Anything can happen indeed. Oh, that is Mizzy being shown the wall, and Nico Viani also defending as well. Once again, cars all over the road. You have Victor Riddler trying to throw a nose in there, and you have Marco in P5 picking up a penalty. That's going to be so costly for him, and Victor Riddler. Oh! And that's Mizzy, Thomas Baldwin, and Victor Riddler out into the castle section. That was always going to happen with how they were battling there.
That was absolutely incredible. It was a concertina effect. One of them hit the wall, the rest of them all got collected by the one car. So, this raises the question. Bass, currently P13, he'll roll around, find himself P10. He wasn't able to catch up in the safety car queue. A lifeline for RLS there. But with these drivers now approaching, heading on towards the final lap once they cross the start-finish line, which drivers are going to be the most opportunistic? Which ones are going to be the bravest to try and get that move sorted right at the end here? Because surely you're going to have to think it's going to be a drag race down to the line.
Definitely could be as well the case as Luke Mills getting his way past Marco as well down the straight. But of course now let's see how this one is going to play out. It is still risky because there's not going to be the DRS that we'd usually get to the line. So they'd have to be really tucked up. They'd have to be really tucked up right on. Right at the end of this one on the run up to the line. It seems like it's going to be between Zach Miles and Yane to win this one as well, with possibly some other battles playing out on the circuit as well.
Absolutely, we'll do our absolute best to be able to cover every single battle, but you will have to forgive us if we end up missing an overtake from one of your drivers or one of your favourite drivers throughout the rest of this race, because we've not got long left and we've got battles and gaps closing up all throughout the field, including the gap from P2 to P3. Pius Korsman, hot on the heels of Zach Miles. Is he going to be able to do something? Is he going to be able to get a double slipstream and try and challenge for his race win here?
Could be about to indeed. What about, as you mentioned, Tyus Korsman? Now he's looking to try attack. Zach Miles has a little bit more ERS as well, but it looks like Yanni now is going to try to take his opportunity and pull away, while Korsman's going to look for a move on Zach Miles.
He just wasn't quite on there, heading into the left-hander, approaching the real last overtaking point on the circuit. He goes for the inside, and it's not quite close enough. And Zach Miles, he's going to be a second behind. He won't get enough slipstream, regardless of how much battery he's got. He's going to have to settle for P2 here. But Yerne Donovan, out in the lead. Fantastic race from him. Fantastic race from WOR. Unfortunately, not able to capitalise on the 1-2 here. You see Justin Ayot's there banging into the wall, trying to get any sort of, additional pace. But Yerne Donovan wins here at round 6 for Baku. Fantastic job from a WR driver. Zach Miles P2, Tyus Korsman P3, Justin P4, Luke Mills P5, Christian P6, Nico P7, Marco P8, Latinsky P9, and Bass will be the final runner here, rolling through the final S's section. And you've got to say, as finishes go to a race, that was very chaotic.
That was very chaotic, as we kind of predicted. A bit of both scenarios that you did give us right before we got underway. A bit of chaos here and there as well, and some of these drivers also remaining a bit calm throughout as well. But it was plenty of action, plenty of chaos, and a lovely finish to that race.
Absolutely, Mizzy getting the game's driver of the day. I'm not sure, and I can agree to that. I'm not sure whether I'm able just to give driver of the day to one driver, because at the end of the day, for me, WR, a class ahead of the field. If it wasn't that safety car, you could have guaranteed him getting a 1-2. Fantastic stuff from them. But, taking a top step, still Yerne. He was unfathomable up there. Tyus Korsman, he tried, wasn't strong enough. Zach Miles, he tried, wasn't quite there either. Very unfortunate for those drivers, but you got to give credit where credit's due. Yerne picking up a race win from P2 on the grid. Fantastic stuff from a Ferrari driver. Then Zach Miles, P2. Tyus Korsman falling down to P3. Unfortunate race for him, but still stuff to build and work on there. Justin P4. Luke Mills, P5. Christian P6. Nico P7. Marco P8. Latinsky P9 and Bass in P10. And then we've got the non-finishers of Mizzy, Thomas Baldra, Victor, Riley McKay, Paolo Alfonso, and Yannick as well. Wow. I feel like we can breathe now.
Yes, we could all relax a little bit.
Absolutely. But that's it. We don't have a second race. We don't have anything hidden behind the scenes, unfortunately. But thank you for joining me, Omi. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did indeed. So yeah, I did enjoy it, and Maybe if Alex decides to abandon you at some point in the season, then maybe you might see me again.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting for him. I hope he's found the Easter Bunny. I feel like it's very far fetched for him to do so, but he was determined on it. He said, "I'm not coming back. I'm not talking to you again until I find the Easter Bunny." We'll only have to find out next week. But yeah, very interesting. So, do have James putting in chat. Yeah, no, he's setting his sights up for Slovenia in EEC on Tuesday. Certainly is. He certainly looked absolutely rapid there tonight. But is he going to be able to continue it over in EML? The standings surely set to change, surely set to get a little bit disrupted. But as far as things go, thank you everyone for joining here for round 6 around Baku. It's been a pleasure being here once again. Couldn't have asked for a better community to talk to. Thanks again, Obi, for joining us. But until next time,